I think what you'll have to let me do is not ask me, is that the first time you went to America or anything like that. I think you just let me just talk and just get it over with. I think that's it. And because if you stop and I think, oh, I've got to think about that part of it now, have I? Can't I just? Do we have to cover every bit of it? Anyway, I will get into it, but it's so boring to say all this. I've got spatial intelligence. As a child of 5, I could have made a pair of shoes. It's for a pocket, that's why I drew my hand on it first. Sometimes the question is put to me, will you ever retire? Right. What I say is, if people retire, they do what they like. And I'm doing what I want in the sense that I feel I ought to do it, but if I really could do what I want, what I would do is I would learn Chinese. I mean, I think that blue on there is quite good, actually. I think just for a change, I think it's fine, but the multicolour, it's not so good, is it? Okay.
And the hair, Vivian?
Sorry?
And the hair with the black curl.
No, the hair looks lovely. I like the hair. And let's just try her with her hair taken back, just to see if I like that better. I think she looks better.
Just push back a little bit further.
Yeah. No, I don't like that at all. No, take it off. I don't remember doing this. Fuck them, they're just disgusting. We did such a nice thing. What's with this tiny hem? How did that happen? We decided we wanted a small hem.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Why did I want a small hem?
That's what I had taken in my notes. Same here, same.
I actually told you put a small hem there. I would never have said that.
Just in the drawing it was, so I just judged.
Next time you make a judgment, don't make a judgment. Just get it into your head, I like a big rib. I don't like this tiny rib. It's crap. I really don't like it. Anyway, so I don't know if I want to show any of this shit. And I don't know what the fuck this is. I don't know what I'm doing, it's a mess. It's my fault, it's just not good.
I think you should not do this thing.
I don't want to do it anymore. What do we do? What do we do about it? Who does do it? Let's just close the company. I was quite interested at doing it next season, but look at that. I don't know why it turned out not good. I like the princess coats. Anyway, I'm just totally bored talking about this, but you need it, so I'll tell you. From the age of 11, 12, I made my own clothes. When I was little, I saw a picture of the crucifixion, and it really did change my life. And I thought to myself, my parents, they've been deceiving me. They've told me all about baby Jesus, but they never told me what happened to him. And I just thought, I can't trust the people in this world. I've got to find out for myself. This kind of thing can't happen. I did feel that I had to be like a knight to stop people doing terrible things to each other. And I think that that's had something to do with my fashion clothes as well. It's always got to be that. You know, you've got to cut a figure and be prepared for action and engagement with things. Just before I was 17, my art teacher, Mr. Bell, he had the idea that I should go to art school. I stayed at art school for a term only because we were so working class. It was like, how am I going to earn my living? And so then I thought, I know, I will go to teacher training college and take art as my main subject, and I'll try to be an artist. And then if I can't be an artist, I can be a school teacher, and that's what I decided to do. We had beehives then, 60s was coming. White shoes, oh God, I loved them. With little lace-ups like a nurse. Oh, they were fantastic. Rock and roll was just starting. I was a teenager and wanted to do what all the other teenagers were doing. That's where I met Derek Westwood in the end, yeah. He was a great dancer, Derek, very good dancer.
Back from their honeymoon, she and Tim are headed for a life of wedded bliss, they think.
I grew up with the idea that you're supposed to stay with one man. You're supposed to find the one man. What we were actually living was the American dream. The housewife, all smiling, all lovely little hairstyle and crisp with an apron on and everything. And hubby comes home and he's got an ideal family. And somehow that's it, that's all you see. But the American dream stops there. I just realised, no, it's all a load of old rubbish. What a lot of old bollocks that is. Somehow I had to explore, I had to get out. I got married when I was 21 and I'd been at 22. And Derek and I split up, and mostly because I was not fulfilling my potential to understand something about the world.
I remember Malcolm turning up. I sort of remember my mother and Malcolm from when I was about 5. I remember we used to live in a flat in the Oval near the cricket ground, and Malcolm was very hot-headed, and quite young, and he didn't want children around and he didn't have much patience for us.
I stopped teaching. I had 2 children, Joe and Ben. Anyway, Joe was Malcolm's son, and he was born. Malcolm was ill, and I looked after him, and that's how it all began. I didn't want him at all, but I felt that I'd misled him by being too kind to him. When I had Joe, I wanted to have an abortion, and I really wasn't happy at all. And one day I suddenly realised, this man is gold. What am I doing? We went to a compendium bookshop. We went to the Marxist shop in Chinatown. He came from a Jewish family. They knew the world. I was really a woman on a mission, because I knew I was stupid and I had to discover what was going on in the world.
Yeah, thanks very much. Rock and roll.
Malcolm had the idea of buying up these old rock and roll records, and he thought that he could sell them to trendy people. My favourite shop, Mr. Freedom, was at 430 Kings Road. That's still my shop. That shop has got really a lot of history. It was the first this, the first that. Anyway, it wasn't doing very well. So the shop manager invited us to have the back half of the shop to sell our records in. I borrowed some money off my mother, £100, and that's when I started also making clothes. We called it Let It Rock. Every time we changed the name of the shop, we changed the clothes, you know? It's like doing a new collection each time. Malcolm had the idea that we were going to confront the establishment through sex, because he said England is the home of the flasher. His slogan was rubberware for the office. He was very clever, Malcolm, literarily and everything, except he never read anything. Why the hell does anybody need this? Can't you get a bit of old footage or something? No, you can't. No, you can't. I know that. Anyway, he was interested in those 50s pin-ups where you've got girls, they're just there, they've just been washed up by a shipwreck on the beach, and they're all torn, you know. I'm wearing something torn right now. It's really great, this. I'll get up later on, it's all got this torn edge, I love it.
Can we jump to the Sex Pistols and how they came about?
No, I can't be bothered with them either. Don't know what we're going to do. Really, if I've got to talk about the Sex Pistols.
Have you finished? This is the Destroy Muslin t-shirt. It's one of the most important pieces that Westwood and McLaren created. The garment is made from muslin. The sleeves are very long and they fold back, and then this would clip onto here, so making it more wearable. But the notion of distortion, the sleeves, it reminds one a little bit of a straitjacket. But it's really all about the imagery. So here you've got a swastika, an inverted crucifix, the word destroy, and then lyrics from the Sex Pistols, I Am an Antichrist. And what Westwood and McLaren were doing with these punk garments was confronting society.
We invented punk. Malcolm had just come back from America. He'd been managing the New York Dolls, and he put together a group, a pop group, from our Saturday boy, Glenn, and a couple of our customers. And Johnny Rotten was quite a phenomenon. And he hasn't changed from being that phenomenon, unfortunately. He should have changed to something else by now. Now then, my favourite shop is the World's End shop. And we still sell stuff we designed at the time of punk.
Actually, they look good on you. They do look good on you.
And every time I design something, it has to have a story, it's got a character. I think that that story is part of a kind of a nostalgia that people can tap into. I mean, things like this are reminiscent of Greek peasant costumes, this little kilt, and like the tartan, this jacket and everything. It's got, I don't know, it's got an old sort of feeling to it, a little bit to do with rather sort of bandits in the countryside, that kind of thing. Something that you might have seen at the Battle of Culloden, something like that. And I just think that because it's got such content in there and such a way to connect with the human expression, you know, how you walk, how you talk, you know, how you attract people. And I just think that that's why my clothes are timeless.
Dame Vivienne Westwood. This is a lady whose global popularity knows no bounds. A dame who personifies the powerful and subversive originality of British fashion. Ladies and gentlemen, may we present Dame Vivienne Westwood.
There's Vivienne, you know, the fashion designer. There is Vivienne, the campaigner. And then there is Vivienne, the person, you know. I like them all ever such a lot. But I really like Vivienne, the person. I don't know why I'm so... There is this word love, you know, in love with her. I really don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if this is it, you know, they speak about the love of your life, and I don't know, was it lucky? Was it not lucky? I don't know.
Nice, yes.
It has never changed. If anything, it became stronger and stronger, the bond. I like everything about her.
Actually, that's great, yes.
The smell, the way the hair falls, every millimeter of her little body, everything.
The best compliment I can pay Andres is that I actually like living with him as much as being on my own. I accepted a teaching job, first in Austria, because I did need the money. The line is under the bus, and then it's coming up here in between, and it's where I met Andreas. And then Andreas came with a group of students from Vienna to England at the time when I was doing the fashion show. Of course, I gave them seats to watch this fashion show. They were my students. And at the end of it, Andreas, I thought he was really cheeky. He didn't say it was great. He gave me the idea that there was a lot of room for improvement. He stayed and he worked on the next collection.
There was the old studio, and she just let me live there. Dirty old place. Every night, once they left, I would, get out this piece of leopard fur under a table and sleep on it on the floor in all this mess. I even had fleas at one point. But it was very romantic, and and this place was full of cardboard boxes, and in these cardboard boxes was all the archive and clothes, and I would study them, and soon everybody was gone. I would open them up and look at the things, and sometimes would actually wear them and go out, and it was fantastic. It was heaven. It was the real thing. It was the thing I always wanted. I just felt so happy. I never went back. It's a square. The back front is a simple square, which is just draped a little bit on the front. It's just a bit of nothing. It's just thrown on you a bit of cloth.
He straight away started telling us what to do.
What to hear? What can we just do here? It's just a little square.
An apron or a dress?
It's an apron. But if I fill in the back...
He's so passionate about things that you just have to do what he says. People who'd worked with me for quite a bit were very suspicious of him, and he had to be careful, and they're just thinking, who does he think he is, telling us to do this, that and the other. I've got a picture of that anyway. But they soon began to realise how talented he was, and so we all went along with it.
I suppose I have to be honest and say I think in the beginning I was quite suspicious of Andreas, because he's this fucking guy. I mean, he looks a bit kind of gay, and I don't know, he's kind of wants to marry my mum, and he's half her age, and what's all this about? But all I can say is that over the years that they've been married, it's been a huge relief to me. That's allowed me not to have to worry about my mum at all, because I know that he is absolutely besotted by her, and it thinks of her and her well-being and looks after her in many ways. And that was a really nice relief, actually.
People didn't like you for being a punk. We wanted to undermine the establishment. The swastika, all these things meant we don't accept the values of this older generation. We hate it, we want to destroy it, we don't want it. We were youth against age, that's what it was. But it had affected fashion such a lot. The hairstyles even, my spiky hair, it was in vogue 1 month later. And I realised that we weren't really attacking the system at all. It was being marketed all the time. I just realised that the real marketing opportunity was that the English society could claim how democratic and how free they were, that somehow kids could revolt as much as that. In fact, we weren't attacking the establishment, we were just part of the distraction.
So this fantastic ensemble is from the Pirate Collection, and it's one of the first pieces that the V&A acquired from Vivienne Westwood. It was from the time when the shop had become known as World's End, and Vivienne was experimenting with historical dress.
Like the snake print tunic or the square-toed shoes. She would take an idea and then chew it over and shake it and come up with the most extraordinary results.
The whole collection was absolutely joyful. It was a kind of riposte to the darkness of punk. She was introducing colour and pattern, huge voluminous shirts, clothing that was worn by both men and women, clothing that was not about sexual identity, but was simply about enjoyment of life.
I didn't consider myself a fashion designer at all, but I realised that I was very talented, and I felt that I wanted people to know that the stuff that was on the Paris catwalk had come from me. And I just thought, I must get the benefit of this. I must enter this business world and start to really sell the clothes and present them to journalists and be a fashion designer. I realised that I could be.
What is a self-confessed fashion anarchist doing in bourgeois Paris anyway?
You have to go where you have to go. You have to do what you have to do. And I certainly don't want to be underground. I want to be at a place of the most focus that I can find. Malcolm became very jealous of me when I did fashion and he went into the music business. And he used to always pretend that everything was him. I stayed with Malcolm because I respected him and had an incredible loyalty to him. There came a point where I sort of completely outran Malcolm. He'd stopped really, his thinking had kind of stayed where it was. So I got intellectually bored with Malcolm.
Malcolm split from my mum and he was horrible when he left. He was all full of tensions, jealousy and I don't know. It was just one of them sort of people that when something changes like that in their life, particularly, I think, because Vivian had decided that it was over. She couldn't bear it any longer. And so he just turned into a really horrible, spiteful phase of his, trying to smash everything up, which he sort of did. At a certain point, it all sort of turned to dust, you know. And so he went off to Los Angeles to be this kind of movie producer kind of thing, you know, Mr. Big Bollocks. And we were left in Clapham trying to pick up the pieces.
Andreas and I work together. We both work on the fashion. And he's been amazing. There's an awful lot of work needed from a fashion designer, and Andreas does the half of it. When you do a dress, you've got to work out how to do everything. There's every little decision. You do it more than once.
Does it make her bust smaller then? I always keep asking, maybe it's got so small because she's losing weight, isn't she?
You do one first, then you make it up in the real fabric.
Yeah, a little bit of pads, you know, it's nice.
A little bit of what?
Shoulder pads.
Yeah.
Then you decide how you're going to sew it. All the time you're trying it on people.
What do you think, Phyllis?
It's really good, man.
There is something here.
He needs me all the time. I consider myself at this point in time as his reference, call it muse. I'm there to say yes or no, or I don't think we should be doing that. I think it'd be much better if we tried it this way or whatever, this kind of thing.
Honestly, everybody knows Vivian. My real first shock when I first met them back in 2010 was the way that she was working with Andreas, that at that time, 2010 or even before, since he arrived, nobody knew. That was my real first shock. It was like, wow. I thought that she was the designer, she was deciding everything. No. She was working like 50-50 with him.
Good.
You think so? Because I think it needs something in the back. I don't like it all see-through.
You can have knickers on.
But if you've got knickers on, you don't like to see the knickers.
I think it's a tiny bit of cotton tuft.
I mean,
Like-
that's what you want. That's exactly what you want. A bit of cotton taffeta.
Vivian and Andreas work in a very particular way, and I think it's a very old-fashioned way, but it's really how the great couturiers have always worked. They work with their hands, you know, they work on the body. It's very physical. Vivian's clothes really have a rapport with the body as a result.
She's really an whole style teacher. He's a mess, like a proper student art mess, which from the mess, from the chaos, you can create.
I like to give my best and question what I do constantly. Of course, there are days where I'm quite content and maybe happy with who I am or what I've done. But most of the time, not. I'm really, you know, it's hard work.
I mean, it's
quite suits this sort of business suit she's got on to start with.
Then if something's cleaner, then maybe...
No, I don't know, but what's her second outfit? I mean, I quite like her hair scruffy as it is as well.
I did like it, but I thought if we did like a weird Marilyn version and like a scruffed up, it'd be quite interesting as well on her.
No, I know that.
A little cardigan and drapey trousers.
Ah,
Like a
she's got
jogging
that.
thing. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's
All
nice.
right, that's nice. Okay,
Yeah.
then the clothes are all right with that then. Oh, that's her first look, that one. Okay, so we have to get this outfit for Grace, and what I wanted to do, somebody should tell her, I'll tell her. I'm changing her outfit. Where is she? I'll find her. Oh, you've got to change your hair. I'm going back to change your hair. Where is he? Changing the hair.
Everyone in this area, you don't need to be standing around here. Move back. If you're a dresser, stand right next to your rail.
I met Vivian. Was a fashion show, no? In Paris at this time, to do fashion show in Paris was very prestige, no? Okay, for me, okay, Vivian, maybe I find a good customer, no? Because this woman was, no? In Paris, or maybe I think maybe there is some money, maybe it's a good customer for me. After 2 weeks, I've been in London to see Vivian Westwood. When I been there, I was very shocked about the situation. Punk. Oh dear. Okay, I want to say, okay, bye, thank you, sorry for that, bye-bye, and go away. Oh, I remain, no? This, in half second, he must have succeed. The company was completely destroyed. Okay, we start to work like that.
Carlo, it was funny. I mean, I don't know, Carlo used to have a business sort of selling carpets and second-hand watches and cars and things. Kind of hippie trader kind of guy.
I tried to take all my connection in Italy with Elio Fiorucci to produce us in Italy, to fix the industry with the creativity.
I just happened to need to stay in Italy because that's where the producers were, and I was designing in a space there and working with this factory to begin with.
When I was 22, I was living in Rome, and then she was working in a factory near Florence. This factory was producing the Mini Crini collection. And then when she went to Paris to do the collection, I helped, and I remember being on the train with all the kind of final pieces that had been done at the last minute, and us sleeping on the seats. And then the show, you know, suddenly there was this show in Paris, and it was just mind-blowing. The most beautiful things. And all the Spock shirts, and it was just unlike anything else. It was so, really being part of that, you really felt like you were at the, you know, something germinating, and it just kept on, and it was wonderful.
One day I go with Fiorucci in '85. Elio, I need to find the people to sponsor Vivian, no? And say, don't worry, I called to Giorgio Armani. At this time, Giorgio Armani was like Pope. We speak with his partner. Okay, I want to produce Vivian. Good. I'm rich, no? Okay, sign the contract. £350,000 a year guarantee. Is £350,000 at this time was a fortune. Okay.
Carlo got a couple of really good opportunities for me, but they were destroyed by Malcolm, saying, you can't work with this woman, she's my partner, your agreement with her is totally rubbish, you're wasting your money, you know, I'm going to take you to court. It was that. I'd forgotten Malcolm by then.
I will lose the contract in few words.
When those things fell through, I found myself back in England, and at that point I had to go and get social security. I didn't have any money at all.
I think we got a loan from my grandmother, Vivian's mother, Dora, because the World's End shop had just been closed for, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. But the landlords hadn't rented it to anybody else. It was just still sitting there, and it even had a bit of stock still left in the back.
My grandfather had just died. My grandmother was at a loose end, so she came down to London. So this was 1985. She came down to London and she worked here. She'd worked in her own shop before, so she knew what she was doing.
And Vivian also started to make a few things on her old sewing machine again to put in the store.
I had a driving licence and a car, so I used to go and pick up the rolls of fabric and go to shirt makers and go to the tailor up in Camden Town.
And we opened the store again, and even when we opened the store, for the first 3 months, that had no electric in it because that was all cut off, and I was trying to light the store with candles and, you know.
I went back to London and then I started as her assistant. Malcolm would behave really badly and he'd made it very, very difficult for her. And she just carried on working. She was working from her flat and it was just the two of us for a while. Then Murray started working and all sorts of people came, but that was way before Andreas.
I was 23 and I was a very young sort of 23, I guess. And I was so honoured to be it was a big deal for me. It was in Camden Town. Carlo De Mari used to call it Bombay. It was really great. It was above an old carpet shop. It was really rancid, really rickety and old, and I loved it.
You know, the people that were involved, it was as if they'd discovered the meaning of life, and it was the meaning of life. And it's funny how clothes can be so emotional, the making of these things that you put on, and they make you able to face the world and in a kind of, you know, spectacular way.
I had a success to start with, but the way it works is that when you're new and you do something new, then everybody's on to you, or they've discovered this new thing, and they all want to discover you all at the same time. Then you just get left, and they want to know what's the next latest thing. That's how the English press treated me. I was always treated well in Italy.
I know every time you do a collection, they say, crikey, Viv's blown it, don't they? They say Viv's blown it. We don't know whether Viv's blown it this time, because this is the new collection. What's it called?
Well, I'd like to describe it after. It's called Time Machine.
Time Machine. Yeah. Here we go. Well, tell us about this one, then.
When she started, people mocked her.
Are people supposed to laugh? I mean, they're laughing.
I remember when she was on the Terry Wogan show, everyone laughed. I mean, they didn't show the audience, which was literally everyone was over about 80.
I mean, what sort
If they don't stop laughing, I shall tell the next person not to come on.
Oh, dear. You're not to laugh. Is this a winter collection?
Yeah. I've never met this response before.
It's like Vivienne had been invited on the show to be a joke. It was like she almost had to justify herself.
You design these clothes not because they're witty, but because you believe they are attractive and they make people more attractive.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
It was really made me furious, but she didn't give a fuck. She came out at the end and she said, oh, that was just the best reaction I've had since punk.
And on that note, we haven't upset you, have we?
No,
Not in the least. You're very
I
kind.
don't mind. In fact, I'm quite pleased, but I usually don't get that kind of reaction. It's
Get this
strange.
reaction, ladies and gentlemen, Vivien Westwood.
But there was loads and loads of that where she was always considered the sort of joke, you know. And in the end, they couldn't ignore her anymore.
I can't remember at what point the company became successful, but eventually it did. I'm still not happy with my company because at this point in time, it actually expanded too much for me.
Just the stripes are wrong, that's why it's not passing.
I'm in danger of not being able to control everything properly, and I certainly don't need to sell anything I don't like. I don't know who's in charge of this kind of thing. Who's going to tell the factory that this is unacceptable? That's what I want to know. I don't even know who's going to tell them. So it's very lucky we tried it on, otherwise nothing would have happened with this. I need to reduce my product, and I'm having to sort of pull it back and rework things all the time so that nothing gets left, so it gets tacky or it's done in not a good way or something. And therefore, I don't want to expand because that means I can't, you know, look after the problem that's close to me well enough because I've got too many things to deal with.
This is Marcia, who of course hasn't been introduced properly.
Yeah, hello Marcia, I see.
So she now is responsible, I found, for selling this collection.
Yeah, wait a minute, Marcia. Did you sell it to Gregor yesterday?
Yes, we did.
Because he said you didn't know anything. The person who didn't know your name, but he said she didn't understand the collection at all. So that's you. So now you have interrupted. What do you want to tell me? Murray? Sorry.
I just wanted to introduce you.
This is all a question.
So, I mean, I've been working with Marcia today.
So you're
She's
working-
getting a lot more informed now.
Okay, but it's probably not your fault at all, you know. I mean, because no, it's not. It's not just that. It's just that the connections aren't here.
The company has grown. It has become very big, and she can't just press a button and undo all that. She's got a duty to support the people who are here, who've worked for her. And it's very difficult to just undo some of those decisions that have been made, not by her, by the way.
You know, I don't know anything about the marketing people, as I've said. I don't know what they do. I don't know what information they need from me. Maybe there should be some way that these people start to understand early on what you're doing with the collection. I'm really, really, you know, just so frustrated as to trying to find out what the heck they're doing. I mean, they're wandering about doing, I think, damage. I really don't know, and I'm still of that opinion. I still haven't found out what they do. They explain to me ever so patiently always what they're doing, and I come away and I don't know what they've been talking about.
I think some things were not exactly how she had envisaged them. And we are tweaking the concept, which is a normal thing. A company has to have some kind of growth plan, but it's not about world domination.
All right then, okay.
It is about your visibility as a brand.
We're honoured, Ma'am, that you're able to be with us this evening to present the 1990 Designer of the Year Award.
That fashion industry was so against her from day one. They never liked her. And they didn't like to see her kind of come up. You know, it was embarrassing going to those fashion award things where they kept giving out the Designer of the Year to everybody else apart from her.
Well, the winner, Vivienne Westwood.
Designer of the Year couldn't have gone to anyone else this year other than Vivienne Westwood. The designers have made their thoughts known over the last couple of days, and the fashion press have positively demanded it.
Good evening, everyone.
I think that as a designer, she's a loose cannon, really. Fashion needs continuity and an actual design philosophy, which I don't think she has.
Is she good?
Not in my opinion, no.
It just was a joke, you know. And in the end, I had to give it to her twice in a row because it was so fucking embarrassing for them.
And it's my pleasure to announce that the Designer of the Year is... oh dear, Vivienne Westwood.
So far, no designer has been awarded Designer of the Year twice in a row, but Vivienne Westwood is celebrated here tonight for her awesome contributions to the British and international fashion arena. Long may they last.
The best thing about winning this award is a personal thing, the fact that one is appreciated.
It's regarded as something of a disgrace in the fashion industry that it's taken 20 years for Vivienne Westwood to be given wider recognition. And now that she has, that no financial sponsors had the courage to back her.
Bring it up and perhaps above the head. It's nice and happy.
So I don't know at what point my company was a success. And I think I would remember when it did become a success. It's true. At one point, we closed our Davies Street shop to give it a coat of paint, and we took a temporary shop in Conduit Street. But we really started to make a lot of money because we were on the track where people passed. We weren't out of the way. And then sales increased, and we built it up from a real business of actually selling clothes.
Designer and activist Dame Vivienne Westwood joined Greenpeace today south of the North Pole aboard the ship Esperanza. Alongside scientists, she'll be observing the impact of climate change on the Arctic environment.
About 6 or 7 years ago, I read in The Guardian an article by this amazing scientist, James Lovelock. And he said he thought by the end of this century, the 21st century, he thought there would be 1 billion people left. know, it just shocked me so much. It just froze me. I was traumatised. So I realised that this environmental problem was of incredible consuming urgency. The human race facing mass extinction. And then, of course, the point is, what can we do to save ourselves? Throughout my life, all my motivation has been because I've been so upset about what can happen to people in the world, and I've always been so lucky. So everything became the urgent need to save the environment.
So, Vivian came down today.
Mm-hmm.
We've got this big climate march on the 21st of September. I know it clashes in with Fashion Week. She wants banners done. The deadline is the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
And was wondering if you could kindly let your interns help us. It needs to be done by the 18th.
How many do you need?
10. Really big, beautiful fracking banners.
That's quite a lot.
That's what I mean. I feel really bad.
I'm going to put democracy shining over the top like rays of light. Because we don't have any democracy in England.
We have a different approach, you know, she always likes to give it this meaning, and she likes when clothes have this message, which I think is good or not good, I'm not sure. I'm a bit sometimes bored by it, but then she shouldn't hear that. I'm not very much bothered about this, you know. It just needs to look good and I need to like it, and I'm happy with it.
She cares deeply whether she's going to be able to change the world, to make it a better place. We're looking at everything we do and trying to do less. But the most sustainable thing you can do is shut the company down, perhaps. But actually, of course, we are employing a lot of people, and you've got to do it in a more sustainable way. That's the answer, really.
This is the most amazing thing I've ever thought of or said. The total rotten financial system is the enemy. It's like the Hydra. Don't start chopping off, I shouldn't mention chopping heads now, but you've got to kill the machine that is destroying us. The only way to kill the machine is to change to a green economy, which is a rich economy, a fair economy. So if we could get everybody to switch to a green energy company, it would be the first step in the green economy.
Here there's so many things going on. Here they're like meetings, company meetings, bags meetings, shoes meetings. Then Vivian, she keeps herself super busy with the climate revolution, all the appointments, all the meetings that she have, NGO, blogs, website. So maybe the collection can be done in 3 days.
I don't know. Let's see how.
This is so important to realise, to have a perspective of what is going on our planet.
To really hurry up now. Because now to cancel it is Harikiri number 5. We work on it, we don't even look at it. It's not good.
Andreas has been having such a hard time. He's so tired, really, and he's so upset because it's just such a hard work, and he hasn't had much help from me, and that's made a big difference. You know, we used to do it together, but now I'm depending on him to do it mostly on his own, really, and it's too much for him. It's really terrible. Anyway, so he's getting exhausted.
Everything I asked you was not done. They had no socks on. I don't know why people don't go downstairs and get some socks from the shop. I mean, you have 5 people.
No, that's true. There was no socks and there's all.
But they're downstairs. One flight of stairs down, and there are some socks.
Well, they all mixed from the gold label, most of them.
What do you mean mixed?
The
We
thick
had
one.
no socks. You had 10 pairs of socks. You tried all the fitting on.
And the way spring summer.
This I don't care. You just need to go downstairs in the shop and get the socks. I mean, it's just thick. Useless. I'll do it myself next time.
For the socks.
For everything. Anyway, you can go. You do your washing.
Okay.
All in plastic bags, everything, printed in plastic bags.
Just do a picture like this.
Okay.
Just like that.
Fashion, one of the most tough businesses in the world. I'm very proud because if you see Vivie and Westwood, we are a big family around the world. No, we have in America, in Europe, in Asia, in India, not everywhere. Under 20 shop. We give a job 400 person, and we are independent. If you see other people, Stella McCartney, McQueen, Galliano, Jean-Paul Gaultier, everybody belongs to big corporate. And Vivian is independent. No? In top of Vivian, there's Vivian. Nobody tells to Vivian what he must to do. Of course, this kind of freedom, you must pay for that. Independent means you must work 3 times more.
You just have to think, of course, a few seconds, and I'm just going to look great. And in your head, it should be, everybody loves me. And today I'm being grown up because I'm wearing rather grown up clothes.
Okay.
And you can be a bad child. You want.
You see a fashion show, and of course, you got the makeup, you got the crazy hair. But at the same time, we want to try to sell them. So the day after, we have, what is that, the presentation to all our managers from London, Paris, Milan, LA, New York, and our partner, which they come from Japan, Taiwan, China, South Korea. And who else knows better the collection than Vivie and Andreas? Nobody else.
Excuse me. Either come or go, please. Either sit down or fuck off yourselves. Listen, our shops. I decided that I want this company to be one that sells only things that I like. And unfortunately, it's expanded so quickly, and I'm awfully suspicious that our expansion has been based more on quantity rather than quality. Not interested in the money. Sorry. And I know you are, but this is what I want. I want people to buy the best that we've got and build their customers and not expand them. Anyway, so, that's not Andreas, is it? No. Andreas.
You continue.
Sorry?
You continue.
No, I won't. I was waiting for you.
But it's not my job to speak in front of all of you.
Well,
I thought it was. That's what we've been waiting for. Well, whose job is it then?
The salespeople.
Okay.
I don't know where the salespeople are. Who sells this collection?
Anyway, but last season we did it ourselves, and they probably expected us to do it again, so there we are. Anyway, what I really love the feeling of poverty about these things, the neutral colour, and it's not in your face, it's just the woman who's in it. It's absolutely great. Sorry. Okay, so in the collection there were one or two things we didn't show because they didn't work. I've just got to make sure that we take them out of what's on the rails and in the selling book. Anyway.
She is a dress designer and she's an activist. She is passionate about other issues other than just putting a dress on. What I'm very surprised is, and I think it's the height of elegance, is that on this day when she is opening a store in Manhattan, Vivienne has chosen not to fly across the pond, and she's sitting at home working on a thesis about global warming or capitalism. She's very concerned about our planet.
I'm having a rave of a time. I've sorted the whole company out. I've got everybody doing what I want. The plan is they've got to work with the designers. That's what's been wrong. I can't believe when I'm looking into it, the shops worldwide, how many pairs of fucking plastic shoes we sell and all that stuff. I can't believe it. And of course I'm the designer and I've got total control because I cannot just say, look, if I don't like the design, then you can't, I do it. If I don't like my own designs, I can't give them to you. I've got artistic control. I mean, it's very, very simple. I always wonder what it would look like with a black ceiling. I always want a black ceiling. Oh, Andres won't do it. So it's just that's what I would always like to try it and think it out. Oh, hello, Simona. Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. I haven't made my mind up about the shop yet. I'm just only everything. Yeah. I've got to make my mind up, and in the process of absorbing it must stop growing, but it's very, very difficult to do that. But we've been trying to open a shop in Paris for the last 10 years. That doesn't mean to say we're expanding. That was in the plan before. We don't. There's no reason to break that. But then Carlo, my manager, was planning to open a shop in Beijing, and I've stopped that.
She wasn't happy, design-wise, even to say she hates it.
I hate the music.
It doesn't feel like Westwood, but at the same time, not even Westwood or Andreas, they knows where they are now. That shop, it reflects maybe even the problem that we got inside, because we have problems. It's like being a family, where you got the drunk auntie, you got the gay uncle, you got, the crazy kids. You have this big family and you can't control them all together. But at least we're still working on it.
It's very difficult, but everything we do has got to be solved in a different way in order to slowly get to this point. And I don't know, it's really, really difficult to get from here to there, that's all. But we're slowly doing it.
The fashion world is honoured with an OBE going to the flamboyant fashion designer Vivienne Westwood.
People are very impressed by it. All the people who work with me are very pleased because they feel that they share in it, really.
There were a few things that I thought were milestones, I suppose. One was when we bought the building for the head office. That was quite a milestone because it felt like, right, well, we kind of own that now. I decided I couldn't work with Carlo. It had to be one or the other of us, and my mum had decided that she needed him, which hurt a bit, but I also felt I was young enough and I was kind of at the time where I wanted to go and do something for myself anyway. But before I left, the one thing that I made her do was sign this license deal with a Japanese company, because I know the minimum royalties on this contract, she'll be okay. Carlo hadn't wanted to sign this deal, and I made her sign the deal in the lawyers in front of Carlo and everything. You've got to sign this. And after she'd done that, I felt she was going to be all right.
You're going to take this anyway and show it to Martina at whatever stage and get that sorted out, and I've got to tell you which mesh to use. There won't be any more pleats there because this one is one that just comes anyway in the way the fabric's cut. There's no folding there. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. I think it's going to look great. We're going to put it on Kate Moss. She'll look lovely in it. Okay, Uta. So I'll give that to you.
Thank you.
Do you want to take this corset with you as well?
And the corset as well.
Yeah. All right.
Those shows, they were so outrageous. You know, champagne was flowing. And we'd go out naked and lollipops and, you know, just outrageous, but really glamorous at the same time. They were the ones that were like, oh my God, it was so exciting.
That's that part of my history, which is fun. I've got the shoes. There was also a pair in the museum in London. I got an insurance commercial out of it. You know, it's done well for Vivian and I both.
She's a rebel, isn't she? So, which attracts me. Coming from Croydon, we wanted to get out, and she was like our queen.
Provocative, beautiful, respectful. It's hard to imagine that one designer could be all of those things.
I love her femininity, I love everything she do. And she's not so young, and she still can wear fashion, and she's never ridiculous. She's one of the only one, I think.
She's iconic. And she's the top of her game. She's so authentic. And, you know, she's on this planet for a reason, to, you know, stir it up a little bit.
She was a punk rocker. She's the only punk rocker.
I can't be bothered. Who wants to listen to all this stuff? I mean, the film's only a certain length. I'm sure there's more interesting things to put into it.
I remember the shows, but I can't remember which one. We were backstage and she went, "Kit, you know I've never been into girls. I could have got into you." And then like hugged me. She was like, I could have been her only lesbian lover. Ka-ching.
The position of Vivian now is a part of the system, no? Like Lady Diana, like Big Bang, like Mind the Gap, Good Morning, Travel Express, this kind of thing.
Hey, Soraya! Soraya! We need Oscar!
You know, Vivian is a very outspoken person. Sometimes too outspoken, silly outspoken, you know. She knows it.
Julia!
You need people like this. These are the people who are changing things.
Guys, start to put the things back.
What's his name?
Tiny temper.
Tiny Temper.
I'm a quite well-known musician. But
Yeah,
I will
I'm
send
sure you, because I just don't follow
Yeah,
pop
I understand.
things,
I
you know.
understand. I'd love to use
Tiny
it for a show.
Temper, is that?
Tiny temper, exactly.
I'm very good on lyrics, you know, and sound bites and everything.
Inspiration.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll message
yeah.
Laura.